This one.
Horrible.
Revenge.
Awful.
Why is this here?
We could be in serious danger.
What the? Where am I? What's going on? Where am I? Okay. Stay calm. Don't panic. Just think. Let's see. There's fire everywhere. Smells like burning flesh. I can hear screams of the damned echoing in the background. And every single building around here is either a DMV or a school. Yep, I'm in hell. Ugh, stupid fuzzy red pig. You throw a guy out of your box and then seal him in a void for 2 years because he was gonna seal you in there, and then he sends you to hell. Give me a break. I don't have the mega tool this time. There has to be a way out here. Come on. Okay, just gotta think. The portal was in my PS3. So, wait, huh? What the? PS3 controller. Perfect. Okay, clearly, whatever that game was that he put in the console has to have some sort of connection to this. So maybe if I turn the controller on and I beat the game, I can get out of here. All right, what game is it? Oh, crap.
Alright, so, is this everyone you can get?
I'm afraid so.
Don't you have a ton of employees that can help you?
Well, no, because they are, in fact, employees. Ergo, they have jobs to do, day jobs to do. If I suddenly made an announcement over the loudspeaker saying, everybody come, help me quickly, my sort of friend went missing because of a video game, they would either think that I am crazy or, even worse, they'd quit. And then if they quit, the company would go out of business, and then I wouldn't be making any more profits, no!
Sorry, but why are we here exactly?
Well, because Aidan's missing it, we can all be in serious danger.
Why?
Apparently, it's because I found this in his box.
Oh, I love Sonic.
Not this one.
What's wrong with it?
This is one of the most infamous games ever made. If someone came in contact with it, something bad might happen.
That's ridiculous.
You say that like we didn't have to fight a bunch of demons on Christmas.
Yeah, but that was because of the toast, not the game.
The point is, our friend is gone, and I think this game is the reason why.
Oh, I'd say calling him my friend is going a bit far. And also, when we thought you went missing, it turns out you were just on a trip to Alaska. Why don't we just try calling him?
Well, I called him 8 times, he didn't pick up.
Look, if you think him vanishing has something to do with this game, I guess it wouldn't hurt to check it out.
Thank you, Mac.
So open it up and show us.
Oh, the disc isn't in here. It's just the case, see?
Well, then go get the console. It's probably in there.
Can't you do it? It was your idea.
Fine.
Wherever he is, I just hope he's okay.
Hello human beings, PowerGamer here. I'm in hell, and I have to play this now, because talking about video games was a mistake. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, arguably the lowest point in a series infamous for being filled with low points. This is one of the most infamous video games ever made, which is in part due to its quality, but also in part to its disappointment. This wasn't just some random one-off piece of crap, this game was supposed to be a big deal. It was the next-gen evolution for Sonic the Hedgehog, and it resulted in a game that's been torn to shreds more often than a billionaire's incriminating documents. And when you look more into the game's development process, that's honestly not very surprising. Sonic team began outlining the game in 2003, shortly after the release of Sonic Heroes, and it wasn't originally planned to be a Sonic game, but then Sega told them they had to make one, and they were just like, alright, that is kind of our thing. It was originally going to be another GameCube, Xbox, PS2 game, but they later decided to make it Sonic's first outing on the 7th generation of consoles. They wanted it to have a more realistic tone to hopefully reach a wider audience, and the reason for this wasn't popular video games at the time, but more so movies, specifically superhero movies like Spider-Man 2 and Batman Begins. And they called it simply Sonic the Hedgehog as a way of showing that this was meant to be a sort of rebirth for the series, though most people call it either Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 or just Sonic 06. Because of this new direction, they wanted the game to have a more grounded setting with more realistic character designs, and a heavier emphasis was put on making Sonic and pals interact with humans. The team also wanted to go back to Sonic's roots with a heavier emphasis on speed gameplay, since they felt like Sonic Heroes and the spin-off game Shadow the Hedgehog veered too far from it, even though that was the kind of design philosophy they have with Sonic Heroes. Unfortunately, by the time 2006 rolled around, things began to spiral out of control. In March, Yuji Naka, the head of Sonic Team and Sonic's co-creator, resigned in order to make his own company called Probe, so now the team had to scramble to find a new leader. Things only got worse when Nintendo gave out development kits for the Wii, which was significantly less powerful than the PS3 and Xbox 360. They felt porting the game would be too much of a time sink, so they opted to split Sonic Team in two groups. One group, led by Shun Nakamura, would finish Sonic 06, while the other group, led by Yojiro Ugwe, would make a new Sonic game exclusive to the Wii, which ended up being Sonic and the Secret Rings, and we all know how all of that turned out. So things were already really messy behind the scenes, but what made them even worse was that the small team they had remaining was forced by Sega to rush the game so it would be out by the end of 2006. That way it could serve as both a big holiday title and as a celebration of Sonic's 15-year anniversary. So a bunch of planned features were scrapped, and the quality control was way lower than it normally was. Sonic 06 was finally released to the public on November 14th, 2006 for the Xbox 360, with the PS3 version releasing not long after, and my god, was it an absolute disaster. This game was blasted into oblivion by critics and Sonic fans alike. Everyone absolutely hated this game, and it was universally regarded as one of the worst video games ever made. Hell, it was so bad people began questioning if the Sonic franchise was even good to begin with. You know all that talk about Sonic having a rough time in 3D? Well, that didn't really come from the adventure games, it really came from this. It somehow managed to sell over 1 million copies, but that didn't really matter. This game was universally despised, and Sonic's legacy was sadly tainted forever. And in the almost 2 decades since this game was released, it has served as one of the go-to gaming punching bags for what not to do with a beloved series.
This is one of those horrible games that I've just always been fascinated by, because it really is one of the most interesting stories in gaming history. Well, I've never actually played it myself. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos about it when I was younger, but just hearing someone talk about it is one thing, actually playing it is another. I hope this will get me out of here, and even if it doesn't, it looks like I have no other choice. So, after all these years, I am finally going to play Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. God help me.
Like the previous 3D Sonic games, the story is split into multiple campaigns, and this time each one follows a different hedgehog: Sonic, Shadow, and newcomer Silver. Sonic's story opens in the kingdom of Soliano, which is currently holding their annual Sun Festival, honoring the god of the sun, Solaris. The festival is led by Princess Elise, who, I don't know why, but she seems off to me. I mean, yeah, she is a highly realistic human in a Sonic game with skin so pale it makes vampires look tan, but that's not it. It feels like she's missing something.
Oh, there we go. That's much better.
Anyways, in the middle of the ceremony, she's attacked by a bunch of robots, which are, of course, created by Dr. Oh my god, what the hell happened to Eggman? That redesign just looks wrong on so many levels. Good lord. Well, the very unsettling Eggman says he wants the secrets of something called the Flames of Disaster from Elise. But then Sonic shows up, takes out the robots, picks up Elise, and runs off with her. Eggman gives chase, and Sonic is unknowingly being watched by this white hedgehog who calls him the Iblis Trigger. Unfortunately, Eggman manages to catch up to them and kidnaps Elise, who throws Sonic a Chaos Emerald as she's taken away. Sonic takes an off-screen nap, and the next morning reunites with Tails, who teams up with him to save Elise. Shadow's story opens with him infiltrating Eggman's base in an attempt to save Rouge, and he's apparently under direct orders from the president? Yeah, Shadow somehow works for Gun now, despite all the crap they gave him in the past, and he's over the whole mistaken identity thing thanks to the events of Shadow the Hedgehog, which, sure, we'll get to that game another time. Shadow saves Rouge, who was sent to find this thing called the Scepter of Darkness, which was stolen by Eggman. They bring it to Gun's rendezvous point, but Eggman ambushes them, causing Rouge to drop the scepter, releasing this weird shadow monster. It possesses Shadow's shadow and takes his form, introducing itself as Mephiles the Dark. It claims to know Shadow, but he has no recollection of this, so Mephiles uses his powers to send Shadow and Rouge hundreds of years into the future because he can just do that. Believe me, there's way more stuff to question later. The final story follows our newest character in the franchise, Silver the Hedgehog. Silver lives in the future, which has been devastated by the Flames of Disaster, and he fends off attacks from a fire monster known as Iblis, along with Blaze the Cat, a character introduced in the DS game Sonic Rush. Okay, yeah, I'll get to that one too. You know, assuming I actually make it out of this hellhole. Though I will say this brings up a continuity error, since Blaze was from another dimension in that game, but now she's from the future, I guess. believe me, this is only the beginning of the plot holes. Silver is sick of constantly fighting off Iblis, but then he's approached by Mephiles, who claims that he can help Silver get rid of Iblis for good. Mephiles claims that Iblis was brought into the world by a being known as the Iblis Trigger, and shows Silver and Blaze a vision of Sonic standing in a path of fire, and this is all they need to be convinced Sonic is evil and must be destroyed. So Mephiles uses his powers to bring Silver and Blaze into the past so they can kill Sonic and presumably prevent the bad future. Of course, anyone with a brain will know there's more to it than that, but we won't explore it until later. That's the general rundown of the plot. Sonic has to stop Eggman with the help of Tails and later Knuckles, Shadow has to stop Mephiles with the help of Rouge and later Omega, and Silver has to stop Iblis with the help of Blaze and later Amy. The story of this game absolutely sucks. It may sound only a little complicated, but trust me, it gets way more convoluted as it goes on. The time travel stuff makes it both pretty confusing and extremely stupid. It's filled with all kinds of plot holes, and the characters come across as complete idiots, especially Elise, who's one of the most useless characters in all of fiction. But I do not have the energy to get into that right now, so we're gonna put it off until later.
Alright, I got it.
It took you that long? It was literally just lying on the middle of the floor.
I was trying to get in the box without falling on my face. Come on. It won't budge.
Try pushing the eject button.
Nothing.
It shouldn't be that hard to open a disc slot.
Okay, wise guy, you try it.
All right, I will. Time to open this with the power of bribes. Would you open for $1? 100? 50? 1,000? Million? Billion? All right, I'm not going any further. It was worth a shot. Time to just use my muscles.
Not so easy, huh?
I am trying to get a good grip on it, and you talking to me like that is not helping!
Hey, what the? Was that Lawrence? Hey, anybody up there? Hello?
Wait, I think I heard something.
Aidan, are you in there?
Zav, is that you? Who else is up there?
It's me, Lawrence, Stella, and Mac.
Hey man, how you been? It's been a while.
Oh, you know, pretty standard stuff. I had a doctor's appointment a couple weeks ago. I managed to get my hands on a Switch 2. There's this new diet I've heard about that I've been meaning to try. You know, it's pretty standard stuff. No, and also, I'm in hell!
Okay, fine. Struck a nerve there.
How are you in hell?
Because that stupid pig that made me play the Sonic Storybook games created a portal to hell in my PS3, sent me here, and now I have to beat Sonic 06 if I want to escape.
That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
And what's that about a pig?
Yeah, it was this fuzzy red pig that was sitting on my desk for a while, but then he made me play Sonic and the Secret Rings, and I hated it, so I threw him away. About a year later, he came back. He sent me to this weird void thing where I had to play Sonic and the Black Knight. I beat that, which also sucked. I came back. He tried to send me back into the void, but I was able to reflect the blast and send him in there instead. But now he came back thanks to a cursed copy of Sonic 06, and I'm here now.
Okay, that explanation did not help things.
How come weird demonic stuff always seems to happen with you?
Oh, it's not just that. I've also had to deal with aliens, ghosts, a castle, a guy in a mask, Bubsy 3D, all kinds of weird stuff.
Have you considered seeing a shrink?
Now, this kind of stuff just happens to people who talk extensively about video games, or any piece of media, really.
Discuss Aidan's obsession with weird creatures later. We need to get him out of there. Do you see an exit?
Nope, just a bunch of fire and schools, and maybe a DMV every once in a while. Have you guys tried opening the console?
Working on it!
No! Look, we're trying to get you out of there. Just stay put and just work on the game in the meantime.
Okay, but I hope you guys work fast, because this is not enjoyable.
The game's presentation is an extremely mixed bag. The pre-rendered cutscenes look really good, but the in-game graphics leave a lot to be desired. They're not terrible, but the game only looks slightly more detailed than the previous generation's games. The animation, however, is outright bad. Character movement is insanely jerky, and the lips just flap open over and over again, which don't even match the timing of what the characters are saying. And that's just for the cutscenes. It only gets worse when you're in the hub world. That's not even getting into the game's art direction. Like I said earlier, they wanted to make it look more realistic than previously, but that doesn't work when your main characters are a bunch of giant, colorful, anthropomorphic animals. Sonic and Pal stick out like a sore thumb compared to almost everything around them. And while that can work if done intentionally, like say New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey, this just looks wrong. And like I said, Eggman's new design is really freaking weird. But if there's one thing I can genuinely praise, it's the soundtrack. This game has some unironically great songs in it. White Acropolis is a fantastic stage theme, and All Hail Shadow is sick. Plus the voice acting is decent too, so there's that, I guess. Now here comes the part where I talk about the gameplay. While on the surface it follows the same formula as the adventure titles and Heroes, though it mainly takes influence from Adventure 1. Your goal is to simply reach the end of the stage while taking out enemies and going fast. Sometimes. There's 9 total stages in the game, all 3 hedgehogs go through each of them in a different order, and they're all divided into sections separated by loading screens. You got the ring system, and the only power-ups I could find were this one that makes you invincible, and this one that refills your power meter, more on that later. Now it definitely tries to maintain the gameplay of the earlier stuff, but it's brought down by a multitude of things. First of which being the controls. This game is a lot more precise than the other games, to the point where it becomes way too too sensitive. It's a lot like Super Mario Sunshine, only even worse since you are encouraged to go as fast as possible, which does not work well. The slightest tap of the joystick will cause you to veer off to the side, and this is extremely frustrating, especially when you're on a narrow platform. The second big issue with this game is the camera. This is the first Sonic game to give you full control of the camera via a right stick, and it's awful. If there's a wall next to you, it just stops like it's banging into it, and depending on the way you're facing, it can just spin around with no warning, which killed me a significant amount of times. The third thing is the physics are way worse than they were before. The characters all feel like they have no weight to them, and that's not just when jumping. If you're going up an incline or along a wall, which the game does many times, it controls almost identically, which you'd think would be a good thing, but it just feels really awkward, and if you slightly lose speed, you just fall off, which is insanely annoying. And rail grinding doesn't even let you switch automatically. You have to jump into the air and land on the other one in order to do it. And of course, the final big issue is that the game barely functions at all. It's really clear that this game was rushed out the door because it is filled to the brim with glitches and technical issues. It's insanely easy to just clip through a wall or have the character completely spaz out on you. And if all that wasn't bad enough, the frame rate slows down to a crawl if there's even 4 or 5 enemies on screen. This is the laggiest game I've ever played in my entire life, and I played Pokemon Scarlet. Now, I am playing the PS3 version, and I've heard the 360 version runs better, but still, this just makes the game even worse than it already is.
But that's just kind of the general stuff. When we dive more into each of the individual characters, that is when things really start to go downhill.
Sonic is attempting to recreate his playstyle of the adventure games, but there are a multitude of things that make it much worse. I already mentioned how overly sensitive the controls are, but that's just the beginning. By default, he has 2 abilities, and both have been nerfed. The spin dash has no range, making it so useless I never found a time where it was actually helpful, and the homing attack has a slight delay to it. Before, you could use this thing in rapid succession as much as you wanted, but now you have to wait a second after Sonic does this little flip animation, which makes things a lot slower and more awkward. This is an issue for 2 reasons. 1, this is now your only way of killing enemies. You used to be able to jump on them normally, like in the 2D games, but now you have to use the homing attack. And 2, the bigger reason is that a lot of enemies now have health bars, meaning they take multiple hits to kill, and since there's a slight pause, it makes killing them that much more annoying. Later on, you get some new abilities, like the returning light dash and bounce bracelet, and the only new things added are you can kick, which has a pathetically short range, and slide into enemies, which slows down your movement speed to the point where it's really helpful. Now, I will admit, Sonic's levels don't really have a bad foundation. There's some issues, and the controls and camera suck, but the main core isn't that bad of an idea. Like the classic adventure games, the levels do have a lot of branching paths to reach the end, and there are a handful of concepts that can work in the right settings. But unfortunately, a lot of them are killed by incredibly stupid mechanics. Some levels have you riding on a snowboard like in Adventure 2, only it's miraculously even worse. This thing has no momentum to it, and the gravity makes no sense. I am holding forward. Why am I going backwards? But what really kills Sonic's levels are the Mach speed sections. These are horrible. I think this is where they got the inspiration for Secret Rings' gameplay, because it's basically that, only instead of using motion controls, you're being blasted out of a jet engine. Sonic moves automatically at top speed, and you cannot stop. All you can do is slightly veer left and right, and jump only when you absolutely have to. This makes the controls even more sensitive than they were before, which I didn't think was even possible, but because of that, you can barely tap the joystick without slamming into something or falling off the edge. You cannot touch anything in these sections without taking damage, and if you jump, you can't steer Sonic at all, so everything you have to jump over is a leap of faith. About half of Sonic's levels have one of these sections, and they absolutely suck every single time. Now let's move on to Shadow, who's actually pretty different from Adventure 2. Since they wanted to make him stand out more from Sonic, he's less speed-focused and more combat-focused. And I'm gonna be honest, I think Shadow is the most playable character in the game. He's not great, but because he doesn't move as fast as Sonic, it can be a lot easier to deal with some of the more tight platforming stuff, although it does make going around this loop really awkward. Shadow can still do the homing attack, but if you keep pushing the button, he can do a short combo of attacks, which makes killing enemies faster, though it is pretty repetitive. He can also do the kick, and if you jump and press the attack button, he throws a Chaos Spear, which can stun enemies for a second. I'd say Shadow's campaign ended up being the one I enjoyed the most, since it still retains aspects of a Sonic game without overly slippery controls or these torture simulators. But don't be fooled, it's still not fun. Part of that is because his levels are slower and more combat-focused, they can go on a lot longer than Sonic's. The general layout of the levels don't change that much between characters, and Shadow has a lot more enemies to fight than Sonic, which makes progression take a lot longer. Seriously, some of these levels can rival Sonic Heroes in how long they take. And for some reason, Shadow's levels constantly throw vehicles into the mix, and none of these are fun. There's a buggy and a hang glider that shoot missiles, and a hovercraft and a motorcycle that have guns, because that worked out so well for them last time. The hang glider is a glorified auto-scroller, since avoiding things is really easy, and the land vehicles all control like crap. You need to accelerate with one button while steering with the joystick, and this kind of stuff does not work well for narrow platforming levels that all throw all kinds of stuff at you. And a lot of them tip over really easily, which makes you have to jump out and grab a new one. Thankfully, there's only a couple of levels where this is mandatory, but those levels can be absurdly frustrating. And finally, we have Silver, who is easily the worst one. For starters, he's slow as hell, which in a Sonic game already puts you on thin ice. His main gimmick is that he has telekinesis, which lets him move things with his mind. Sounds like a cool idea until you realize that's literally the only thing he can do. There's some mildly interesting ideas like being able to float for a limited time to cross large gaps, levitating objects to go higher, twisting bars to make an entrance, or using these spots to create platforms out of your environment, but that's it. The main thing you use powers for is grabbing objects and then throwing throwing them, and this is what really kills his viability, because this is the only way you can kill enemies. Yeah, unlike every other character in the game, Silver has no direct way of hurting anyone. Your only option is to grab one of these boxes that are everywhere and then hurl them into your foes. Sometimes you get something else like a barrel or even an enemy projectile, which is kind of cool, but the problem still stands. Trying to aim these things is really annoying, since while they have slight homing properties, that doesn't matter when enemies are shooting at you from every direction, and throwing something stops you dead in your tracks, making you even more vulnerable. And if there's nothing around you, or you use all of them, you gotta do the small blast attack, which requires jumping into the air and has a pathetically short range. Doing this will stun enemies, much like Shadow's Chaos Spears, and then you need to pick them up and throw them. And if all that wasn't bad enough, Silver's levels go on even longer than Shadow's because of how slow he is and how long it takes to fight anything. Unless it's mandatory, do not bother fighting enemies with Silver. Just run past them and hope you can make it. Silver is honestly my overall least favorite playable character in the entire Sonic franchise. Big was awful in Sonic Adventure, but at least his levels were a lot shorter and he was much better in Sonic Heroes. This is the only mainline Sonic game Silver is playable in, and it is not hard to see why.
I am really starting to get sick of this. How's it going up there?
We're working on it.
Ah! Well, I'm out of ideas.
Well, you can't just leave me down here.
It's a PS3 that was cursed from a demon from hell. How are we supposed to know how to open it?
I don't know, call a helpline or something?
Thank you for calling the Satanic Objects Helpline. My name is Hera Henderson. How can I help you?
Yeah, hi. We have a PS3 that was turned into a portal by a demon, and now our friend is stuck in hell.
What game was used to open that portal?
Sonic 06.
Again? That's my 5th call about that game today.
Really?
Yeah, apparently some pig has been going around giving people copies of the game and telling them to play it. If they refuse, he sends them to hell and forces them to play it to escape. Unless they only have a Wii, then he gives them a different Sonic game.
I'm sorry, did you say a pig?
Yes, are you hard of hearing? There's another helpline for that.
No, I'm fine. How do we get our friend out?
Well, given my limited knowledge, I'd say beating the game could get him out of there. But if that doesn't work, you can try prying the console open with a crowbar.
We tried that already.
Well, then get some tomatoes and rub them on the console. Apparently they can weaken demonic powers.
Why?
I don't really know, that's just what it says on the manual. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another call. Thank you for calling Hard of Hearing Helpline. This is Hera Henderson. How can I help you?
So what'd they say?
We need to order tomatoes and rub them all over the console.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Oh, great. Now we have to go all the way to the store, and I'm gonna have to use my money to get us tomatoes.
No, we won't. I just placed an order for same-day delivery on TomatoTraders.com.
Sweet.
Any luck?
Yeah, we're getting tomatoes.
But the Hedgehogs aren't the only playable characters. Everyone I mentioned previously shows up from time to time. Most of which just happen suddenly in the middle of the level, and most of which are somehow even worse than the main trio. Tails is back to his Adventure 1 self with the whole flying thing, but now instead of a tail swipe, he throws ring bombs for some reason, and these things suck. Throwing them is delayed, so it's really easy to get hit when aiming, and for some reason the camera will randomly lock you into first person, which is extremely disorienting. So the best option is to fly around and toss them below. And them exploding into rings is just stupid, since you can't collect them, and they get mixed up with the real ones. Knuckles has been completely ruined. The gliding feels fine, but the climbing forces you to go left or right. You can't just go straight up, and the camera is really awkward. But worst of all, trying to jump off the wall is extremely annoying. His attacks are a punch system that makes no sense, and it barely works. Rouge controls exactly the same as Knuckles, only she's slightly more tolerable since instead of punching, she throws bombs that don't explode into rings. Still don't like her. Omega is weird since he has this hover ability to extend his jump, but it also causes him to fall faster after a while, so you want to save it until it's absolutely necessary. And he can shoot, but to really aim you need to charge it up and then blast everything nearby. Could be worse, but still not good. I'd say Blaze is the most tolerable of the side characters since she's the fastest character in the game besides Sonic, and has a double jump, which is nice. Though her attacks suck. She either does the spinning claw attack that doesn't lock on and can only hit 3 times per jump, or spins a fire tornado with really short range. And finally, Amy is the worst character in the game because of how sluggish she is. Her movement is slow, her hammer is extremely delayed and much smaller than it was in Adventure, so it's nearly useless, and she has this new double jump that takes forever and cuts your momentum.
Safe to say I'm not really a fan of any of the characters, or really pretty much anything about this game, but unfortunately, we haven't even gotten to the worst part yet. Yes, there is somehow one thing in this game that is worse than any of the other stuff we talked about so far, and that is the f***ing hub world.
Soliana serves as the hub world for this game, and it's basically Station Square, but 50 times worse. This place is massive and divided into 3 areas, but really it's more like 2 since the town areas are exactly the same. Now thankfully you're locked into 1, maybe 2 areas depending on where you are in the game, but it's still really easy to get lost, and a large part of that is because you don't have a goddamn map. All you have is this little radar in the corner, which isn't very helpful. Now you can talk to people to get hints on where to go, but this is only useful about 40% of the time. The rest of them just tell you to go somewhere without telling you where that actually is. Go to the train station. Okay, well, where is it? Now the one benefit of the game having a bullshit time travel plot lines that you don't always go back to the hub world in between levels. If you're in the future or past, you just go right to the next one, and I really wish the whole game was like that. Now, the hub world does serve some purpose outside of just the levels, but that doesn't make it good. Scattered throughout the hub world are these portals that lead to action stages, aka the real levels, but there's also people everywhere. They look really uncanny next to Sonic and Friends, their lab animations are terrible, and the same models are reused constantly. The color above their heads determines what they say. Yellow icons give filler dialogue, so you shouldn't bother with them. Orange icons give you hints on how to progress, which varies in quality, and blue icons give you a town mission, which is a side quest that requires things like killing enemies or going through rings. Some of these are required to beat the game, but most of them are optional. Don't bother doing these because they are a boring waste of time, and that's mostly due to the loading screens. Yeah, this game is chock full of loading screens that last a eternity. And this wouldn't be so bad if they didn't pop up constantly, but they happen at least once or twice a level in between cutscenes, and both starting and finishing a town mission requires you to sit through 2 of them. Seriously, it's still going. Still going. Finally. At the end of the town missions and action stages, you're given a rank like before, only instead of E through A, it's D through S. Which rank you get determines how many rings you're given, and you can then use the rings to buy upgrades in the store. Lots of these are required and give you things like the light dash, bounce bracelet, and stun ability, but the majority are optional and vary depending on the character. Sonic gets a bunch of gems that let him use different powers, but I can only afford 3. The green gem, which lets you do this tornado kick, the red gem, which is supposed to slow down time, it doesn't, and the purple gem, which shrinks Sonic down, letting him jump infinitely. No idea how that works, but it lets me skip parts of the level, so I'm not gonna complain. Shadow's upgrades give him more chaos powers, and Silver's upgrades give him more psychic powers. All of these things are tied to the power meter, which works differently for every character. Silver, it depletes when you use specific abilities and refills when you're on the ground. Shadow, it fills up as you kill enemies, and when it's full, you can unleash a chaos boost, which makes you faster, stronger, and lets you use the upgrades. One makes your spear bigger, one lets you snap to enemies with the homing attack, and one that lets you unleash chaos blast. God, that's pathetic. And finally, Sonic, it's full at all times and never depletes. Yeah, I have no idea how this thing was supposed to work, but it wasn't coded properly, so you can use the gem powers that actually function as much as you want with no drawback, which just makes the purple gem even better. Well, at least one broken aspect of this game works to my benefit. When you beat a level, you're given a gold Soliana medal, which is the same as the emblems from the other games. Every level has 5 medals to collect, but there aren't multiple missions like in Adventure 2. Instead, you just get 4 extra medals for getting an S rank, beating it on hard mode, getting an S rank on hard mode, and collecting these silver medals. There's also extra ones you get for beating town missions, boss fights, and finding some silver medals in the hub world. But you get absolutely nothing for collecting all of this, so there is no way in hell I am doing that, pun intended. I guess all that's really left is some weird things I noticed while I was playing. Sometimes if you get hit, you don't lose all your rings, and with how messy this game is, I have no idea if it was intentional or a glitch. Sonic and Shadow have been emphasis on jumping between objects that they don't really land on, they just kinda hover over. And sometimes in the hub world, the side characters will follow you, but if they fall behind, they just warp to catch up, and they frequently kill themselves by jumping in the water. Can't say I blame them. Oh yeah, there's also a multiplayer mode. Who gives a shit?
Should be here any minute now.
You keep saying that.
Yeah, but if I keep saying it, eventually it will be right.
I don't think that's how that works.
Hi, I'm here with the tomato delivery.
Perfect, you're right on time.
No, she isn't. Well, then again, I don't really care. It's not my money that paid for this.
Your order comes to $6.66.
Ooh, yeah, I forgot my wallet. Does anyone have any cash?
Nope.
Sorry.
Absolutely not. Okay, fine.
Here you go.
Wait a minute. You're just the mail lady. Why are you accepting payment for tomatoes?
Delivery fee?
Oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, you gotta charge people where you can.
Good news, Aidan. We have the tomatoes.
Okay, how is that supposed to help me?
We don't know, but we're gonna figure it out. Everyone, start rubbing this on the console.
I really hope that works because now it's time for me to go over the story and levels. Oh god.
Well, Sonic has you start out running around Soliana, meet up with Tails, and you have to complete a ring mission so you can buy the light chip. After 15 minutes, you reach the first level, Wave Ocean. It's a sandy beach that's clearly trying to replicate the first level in Adventure, even down to the killer whale, and you quickly realize how weird and janky this game is. You randomly switch to Tails to trap the whale and end with our first Mach speed section. In the end, Sonic and Tails find a feather, which somehow means the princess was moved to another location, and the first level is a complete waste. Head back to town, find this girl on a roof, and go through this portal. Sonic and Tails find Elise, but Eggman attacks them with a giant robot dog known as the Egg Cerberus, which is our first boss. Yeah, the boss fights in this game suck, and this is no exception. You wait for him to charge at you, homing attack to slide along his back, grab the rod sticking out of his neck, and then make him crash into a wall. He starts jumping around after a while, but that's it. Eggman launches a robot fleet, so Tails runs off as a distraction, and Sonic takes Elise to safety. The next level, Dusty Desert, is a desert level where Sonic is carrying Elise, and you have to hold the shoulder button to create this force field which prevents you from sinking in the quicksand. No idea why she can do that, but it's not an awful idea. Too bad it makes the level run like shit. After this, they run into a field where Elise patches up a non-existent injury, and we have some weird tension that I am not a fan of. Elise explains that the Flames of Disaster is a term for the wrath of the sun god Solaris, which almost destroyed the world 10 years ago, causing Elise to lose her father, and now Eggman is trying to obtain that power for generic bad guy reasons. You'd think he learned his lesson about world-destroying powers after the adventure games, but apparently not. Sonic tells Elise that if she has time to worry, then to run, and they head back to Soliana, where Sonic is attacked by Silver. This is one of the most infamous things in the game, and yeah, it's one of the worst boss fights in video game history. If you go even remotely near Silver, he'll just grab you with his telekinesis and throw you away, which will always cause you to take damage, and if you don't get away in time, or he throws you straight up in the air, he just grabs you again, which instantly kills you. You can only hurt him if he grabs the furniture to throw at you, but you need to get away as fast as humanly possible or else you're f***ed. And it's even possible to get stuck in an endless loop of him grabbing you and you picking up a ring, so you need a reset, which didn't happen to me, but still, this fight is absolute dog shit. And for God's sakes, will you please shut up?
It's no use! It's no use! It's no use! It's no use! It's no use!
If you actually win, Silver throws Sonic in the air, and Eggman kidnaps Elise again. Great. Silver tries to finish the job, but Amy shows up to protect Sonic, allowing him to escape. To reach the next level, you have to talk to this guard named Pietro, who tasks you with finding the captain. These hints aren't very helpful, so you just have to guess, and spoiler alert, it's Pietro. Now we can enter the second part of the hub world and fight some enemies in this warehouse. We meet up with Tails and Knuckles, who is just passing through, I guess, and he gives Sonic a message from Eggman offering to trade Elise for the Chaos Emerald she gave him earlier. It's clearly a trap, but Sonic doesn't care, and we head to his base in the White Acropolis. A snow level, which begins with a really janky snowboarding section, as you bomb searchlights with Tails, and ends in this really open area. They get inside, and Eggman makes them hand over the Chaos Emerald, which activates his machine.
It's no use.
Don't you dare say that.
The machine allows Eggman to control the flow of time, and he sends Sonic and pals to a completely random point. That random point ends up being Silver's future, where they conveniently find Shadow and Rouge. They explain when they are, and they'll need the power of Chaos Control to return to the present. Our next level, Crisis City, is a ruined city covered in fire. This would be a somewhat decent level, since the layout is pretty cool and has some decent platforming sequences, but the Mach Speed section at the end completely ruins it. Seriously, it took me 10 tries in order to beat this stupid thing. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles find this lab where they see Mephiles trick Silver and Blaze and bring them to the past. Tails looks on the computer and discovers that Eggman's battleship is going to explode, which will kill Elise and release the flames of disaster. They meet up with Shadow and Rouge, who found a Chaos Emerald, and head into a volcano to find another one. Flame Core is this wall part towards the beginning, which is really annoying, but other than that, it's a standard lava level, although the lava isn't insta-death, which is unique. We have our first Knuckles section where you gotta hit these light rocks, and it's really hard to tell which ones you hit and which ones you didn't. They find a Chaos Emerald, but are attacked by Iblis, another shitty boss. You gotta avoid these boulders and his jump attack, wait for the stalactites to fall in and you reach these light rocks, and then hit one as he jumps, which will lure him towards you, letting you hit his head. This is not explained very well, and once you figure it out, it's pretty easy, but it takes forever. Sonic and Shadow then use Chaos Control to open a time portal, because they can just do that now, and they hop through to get back to Soliana. Get the bounce bracelet and use it to enter the train station, where the next level is Radical Train. Elise is being held captive on a train, and you gotta run through as fast as possible to hit these switches to blow up crates before the train hits them. Not a bad idea, but the conveyor belts move way too fast, and again, the Mach Speed section sucks major shit. Catching up with the train is a fun idea, but it doesn't work. Sonic saves Elise again, but Silver shows up again, and Eggman kidnaps Elise again. Jesus Christ, can she stay still for 2 minutes? This time Shadow shows up to deal with Silver, while Sonic runs after Eggman and Elise. She jumps off Eggman's ship, where Sonic catches her. What was the point of her being kidnapped then? And we have to fight the Egg Genesis. Reference. It's a warship robot that shoots missiles and summons enemies you have to use to get on top of it. Then homing attacked the head, but I have no idea what spot specifically. It just kept spamming the button in random places until it died. They get away, and Elise thanks Sonic, so he gives her bedroom eyes. Ew. But they're attacked by more robots and have to cross this lake to reach Tropical Jungle. And I'm not gonna lie, this level's actually kinda decent. The layout is solid, you swing on vines to reach higher areas, which is neat. Running through all these trees is a fun idea, and using the shield can lead to interesting challenges. I actually didn't mind the level that much. Why couldn't the rest of them be more like this? After that, Sonic and Elise stop by a lake. She asks him if he's going to leave when he stops Eggman, and he says yes, but then she says she's somehow enjoyed this adventure.
It allowed me to be something other than a princess.
What, a hostage?
Elise reflects on how when she was young, her father told her to be strong and not cry no matter what. Wow, he encourages toxic masculinity on everyone, even his own daughter. She asks Sonic to remember this place even when he leaves, and he promises. They head back to the castle, where Eggman shows up in this battleship, demanding Elise hand herself over to him or he'll destroy the city, and she agrees. Are you fucking kidding me? How many times is this gonna get kidnapped? Peach and Zelda are safe more often than you! We then switch to Tails for no reason, and have to find Elise by replaying Wave Ocean. Yeah, you have to beat this level twice in Sonic's campaign, and I have no idea why. It's basically the same thing as last time, only you're playing as Tails. Eggman tells Elise that Solaris has the power to manipulate time, which doesn't make any sense. He's supposed to be the sun god, not the time god, and he wants to obtain that power to dominate the world across all time. But he needs the Princess of Soliana and the 7 Chaos Emeralds, because of course he does. We need to go to the ancient castle, but to get inside, we must complete 3 trials. The Trial of Wisdom, where you just guess random portals until you get through, the Trial of Courage, where you fight a bunch of enemies with no rings, fuck you, and the Trial of Love, where you just pick between Amy and Elise. Yeah, I'm going with Amy. Also, make sure to save in between everyone, or else you have to redo all of them if you get a game over. This lets us grab an eagle and go through this portal. Sonic is attacked, but then Silver saves him because circumstances have changed. The next level, Kingdom Valley, has you run through this ruined castle, which goes on for way longer than it should. You need to break these walls and grind on air currents because who needs logic? You switch control to Silver at one point and end with our last Mach speed section. Back on Eggman's ship, the engines malfunction for no good reason, and the ship crashes, killing both of them, yet the flames of disaster are nowhere to be found. Sonic is distraught by this, but then Silver suggests using Chaos Control to go back in time to before the ship blew up and save Elise.
Yeah, here's a better idea. Why don't you just go back in time and stop all this bullshit from ever happening? Just stop Eggman from ever becoming a mad scientist. Or hell, attack his ship before he ever invaded Soliana. I don't know, just something that would make everyone's lives easier.
Sonic tells Silver that he needs to do this alone, and he jumps through the portal to go back in time. After running around Soliana ringing these bells for no reason, we can reach the last level, Aquatic Base. An underground laboratory filled with enemies and lasers. You switch to both Tails and Knuckles, deal with these really annoying floating metal balls, and encounter the worst part of Sonic's campaign. Moving on this ball while avoiding lasers or else you die instantly. No thank you, I'm just gonna skip it with the purple gem. Sonic manages to hijack the battleship, but Eggman's not giving up yet, leading to our last boss, the Egg Wyvern. Avoid these lasers and missiles that he shoots to destroy your platform, wait for him to charge into you, homing attack, and then steer him into the falling rubble. Eventually his capital opens and you can homing attack him. Not super hard, but it's confusing and it takes forever. Sonic saves Elise as the ship goes down, they almost blow up, but then laugh about it, wink at each other, and Sonic's story ends.
Well, that sucked. Are those tomatoes doing anything?
We're still going.
This is ridiculous. How are vegetables supposed to negate demon powers?
First of all, they're fruit. And second of all, is that really your biggest question in this situation?
Guys, just relax. We just gotta feel the essence.
I don't know what you're on, but I could really use some of that right now. What the hell was that?
I think it's connected. Keep rubbing.
You know what? This is dumb. I'm gonna go find a different method.
Guys, what exactly is going on up there?
Nothing. We have this under control. Just go back to the game.
You know what? I don't want to know.
Alright, let's get through Shadow's levels. He starts out infiltrating Eggman's base, so the first level is White Acropolis. First section is basically the same as it was with Sonic, only without the snowboard, thank God. But then you switch to Rouge out of nowhere, so I guess we found her, and then the final section you have to use this buggy to destroy the searchlights, which is a giant pain. Rouge tries to tell Shadow about the scepter, but he blows her off, and they're attacked by the Egg Cerberus. This is literally the exact same fight as it was in Sonic's campaign. Next, they find a teleporter that takes them to Soliana, and you gotta head to their rendezvous point in Kingdom Valley. You gotta get the airship and head to the forest so you can light dash over this broken bridge. I then spent 10 minutes trying to find the level, only to realize it wasn't in the castle, it was up here. How the f*** was I supposed to know that? Kingdom Valley opens with a pointless hang glider section, then you use Rouge to find 3 keys, like in Adventure 2, only they don't have the courtesy to give you a radar, and then you drive this hover car over some water, where these pillars can fall down and kill you at any moment. Seriously, f*** this level. After that, it's a bit more normal, but it still sucks. Rouge explains that the former king of Soliana used to live here, but he was killed in an experiment called the Solaris Project. Then Eggman shows up and sicks his robots on them, Rouge tries to get away, but she's shot, and Shadow saves her as the scepter is destroyed, releasing Mephiles. Eggman runs off, and Mephiles blinks them away. Boop! They find a computer and discover they're hundreds of years in the future. Shadow says Mephiles' power reminded him of Chaos Control, and then Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles show up. We get some repeating cutscenes and head to Crisis City. You open in a buggy that you should just hop right out of, and the first 2 sections are the same as with Sonic, but the third level is another hang glider, and instead of Mach speed, we end with a straightforward level section. Not the best, but not terrible. Shadow and Rouge find a Chaos Emerald and see Omega lying there for some reason, covered in dust. They head over to the volcano with the others and enter Flame Core. This is the exact same thing as it was in the other campaign, just with more enemies, a few extra pads, and Rouge instead of Knuckles. They get the Chaos Emerald and fight Iblis. What a shock, it's completely identical to when Sonic fights him. They use Chaos Control to open the time portal, but Shadow sees Mephiles and attacks him instead of going through. Rouge reaches the present to discover Shadow is gone before getting a call from a gun that has a flubbed line in it.
Have you retrieved the Book of Darkness?
She requests contact with Omega, and we head into Tropical Jungle. This is wildly different from Sonic's campaign, since you're on these rectangular ruins and have to ride on turtles. Rouge finds Omega, gets him up to date, and gives him a Chaos Emerald to give to Shadow. He then walks off, and back in the future, Shadow confronts Mephiles, who says that the people of Earth blamed Shadow for Iblis' destructions because they, feared his power. Mephiles tells Shadow to join him, but he refuses, so Mephiles takes this crystally form, and now it's boss time. He creates an army of Shadow monsters who need hits so you can fill up the meter, then activate Chaos Boost to expose Mephiles and just rail on him while avoiding these orbs. In the end, Mephiles blasts Shadow, but then Omega shows up, saying now is the designated time.
Oh, so that's why we saw him earlier. He was literally just sitting there doing nothing for hundreds and hundreds of years, and conveniently, no one felt the need to move him.
Now you basically do the fight a second time, but as Omega, so just keep shooting him while avoiding attacks. Mephiles opens another time portal, and Shadow and Omega chase him, bringing them back to the present. Go to the warehouse and find Rouge, who says Eggman's machines are after Shadow. He decides to go have a talk with Eggman while telling Rouge and Omega to look for Mephiles. Go to the train station, and we're back in Radical Train, where you need to actually stop it from moving so we can destroy the car, which is kind of a neat twist. Then hop on the motorcycle and shoot the train while avoiding enemies. Shadow breaks in and asks Eggman who Mephiles is. Eggman says he's connected to the Solaris Project, and if Shadow captures Mephiles, he should bring him to Eggman, and he'll tell him the truth. I really hope he didn't actually think about taking him up on that offer. Then Silver attacks Sonic, but Shadow intervenes, so we have to fight him again, and somehow this fight is even f***ing worse than it was last time, since there is so much space and less things for Silver to throw at you, so I swear it never happens. I was on this for 20 f***ing minutes. The only reliable strategy I found was hopping on this thing in the center, jumping away, turning around, hitting him, and then getting away at the exact right moment, because if you wait too long or don't turn before hitting the homing button, he just throws you straight up in the air and you can't escape the next attack. Fuck Silver. Seriously, fuck Silver. After all that shit, Silver goes to punch Shadow, who slows down time and then does this.
Oh, that was great. Can I say that again? After all the bullshit I went through, that is so cathartic.
Silver whips out his own Chaos Emerald, and their Chaos controls collide, creating a time portal. Shadow tells Silver that Mephiles is trying to eliminate the past, and they need to learn the truth about what happened 10 years ago. They hop into the time portal and end up in a lab working on the Solaris Project, which is organized by Elise's father, the Duke of Soliana. I thought he was the king. The project fails, causing a massive explosion that mortally wounds the Duke and splits Solaris into two separate forms, Iblis the Flame and Mephiles the Shadow. The two Hedgehogs split up to chase down their respective foes, and the Duke gives Shadow the Scepter of Darkness. Aquatic Base. The most annoying part is the opening because there's no checkpoint and it takes ages. First you have to kill a bunch of strong enemies with Shadow, then switch to Silver and do some hovering, and then back to Shadow where you have to chain homing attacks over a pit, and for some reason it kept not working or targeting the wrong thing, which wasted a shitload of my time. Literally, why is the checkpoint not right here? That would easily fix the issue. Eventually I did get it right, but this level still has way too many enemies, so it goes on for eons. Shadow uses a Chaos Emerald to seal Mephiles inside the Scepter, which explains why he recognized him at the beginning. He goes outside to find Silver, who says Iblis is sealed, and Shadow says he's going to leave the Scepter because he already knows what becomes of it.
Why? If you take the Scepter with you, that means Eggman won't get his hands on it, Rouge won't drop it, and Mephiles won't be released, meaning all of your problems will be solved! Why would you not take advantage of that? God, this game is f***ing stupid!
Shadow and Silver open a portal back to the present. Shadow reunites with Rouge, who says Omega is in pursuit of Mephiles, and then he asks her what the Scepter was made out of so they can make a new one. We then have to escort this random archaeologist who gives you a weird hint about how the Scepter was created, find this fountain and light the candles with the Chaos Spear to make a new Scepter, and that's it. We got it. Lame. Now we had to wave Ocean to help Omega. Hang glide, switch to Omega for a bit, then back to Shadow, and finish it off with a less annoying hovercraft. Omega finds and shoots Mephiles, who says that Omega was created to stop Shadow, and will do so in the future before disappearing. Omega relays this information, and Rouge says that even if everyone in the world turns against Shadow, they'll always be with him. Now this would be an interesting idea that leads to a good character arc for Shadow if they actually did anything with it, but this idea of humanity turning on him is barely addressed and has no exploration whatsoever. We then fight a bunch of enemies in Soliana, which allows you to enter the last level, Dusty Desert. Apparently Mephiles is looking for a Chaos Emerald because he needs one to rejoin with Iblis and reform Solaris. Ride the hovercraft through these pillars, do some platforming with these annoying sand waves, switch to Omega to kill a bunch of enemies, and then finish it off with some tight platforming. Not a fan, but at least it's better than Sonic's ending. They find Mephiles, who still offers Shadow a chance to join him, but he sees right through his bullshit, so Mephiles uses the Chaos Emerald and we have to fight him again. He covers the floor in this dark goo and blocks all your attacks. You gotta fight these giant things that pop up from the goo to, again, fill the meter, which lets you hit Mephiles. Although he's a lot faster this time and shoots energy blasts a lot more. Again, better than Sonic's last boss, but still not very good. When you knock him down, Shadow tries to reseal him, but it doesn't work since he's more powerful than before. He creates an army of clones of himself and asks why Shadow would fight for a world that will betray him. Shadow says that's just what he does, great plot resolution, and takes off his inhibitor rings, which unleashes his full power, allowing him to mow down all the clones. Would have been nice if he did that earlier, and that's it. Shadow's story just ends right there.
Okay, the tomato method clearly isn't working. We have to try something new.
Well, Lauren said he was going to try another solution, but he never came back.
Oh, yes, I did.
What is that for?
I'm gonna blast that door open so it opens the portal.
Are you sure that's gonna work?
What if that makes it so he can't get out, or it sucks us in instead?
Both of those options sound much better than rubbing tomatoes on it for the next 3 hours. Fire in the hole!
There seems to be some sort of power blocking the entrance. We need to find something that could weaken it.
Didn't you say it was a pig blocking him in there?
Yeah?
I know just the thing.
I don't like the sound of that.
Only one left, Silver. He begins in the future, so his first level is Crisis City. Not too different other than the emphasis on Silver's mind powers, and he switched to Blaze at one point. After that, Silver and Blaze are attacked by Iblis, and thankfully this fight is different from the one with Sonic and Shadow. He throws boulders and slams down rubble, both of which give you things you can throw back at him. Simple as that. Iblis goes down, but Silver says he'll rise from the ashes again and wishes they could destroy him for good. Nephilis then shows up and says they can if they learn Iblis's origins. He reveals that he can travel through time and says Silver must destroy the individual that awakened Iblis, which he claims is Sonic, before bringing them all to the past. They end up separated during the process for some reason, and Silver makes his way through the forest to reach Tropical Jungle. It's the same layout as it was with Rouge, only you can now swing these logs and use lily pads to launch yourself up. Kind of amusing, still a boring level. Meanwhile, Blaze ended up in Wave Ocean, so you go through that level as her, pretty much the same as it was with Sonic, only slightly shorter. Well, that's enough of her, back to Silver, who finds Sonic, but then Amy shows up and mistakes Silver for Sonic. Okay, I'm starting to think she's colorblind because this is the second time she's done this. Silver loses a target, so Amy apologizes and offers to help him find whoever he's looking for. I smell a dramatic sense of irony coming. You then have to find this guy who makes you fight a bunch of enemies in the forest, and this lets you enter Dusty Desert, where Amy says that she's also looking for someone, and Silver agrees to help her as well. This is without a doubt the worst level in the entire game. There's a ridiculous amount of enemies in here. You play as Amy, who, like I said earlier, controls even worse than Silver, and the whole thing goes on for way too long. And you know what? I'd be willing to look past all of that, but what takes this level from tedious to bullshit is this. This stupid ball is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a video game. You need to move it into a hole to open the door, but you can't pick it up. You have to smack it with Silver's telekinesis blast, and there's holes everywhere, which I swear this thing is magnetized to. You have basically no control over where it goes, and you can only hit it 9 times before it explodes, and you gotta retry. But sometimes the number goes down, even if you don't touch it. This puzzle is so shitty that 90% of people use a glitch where you clip through a wall to skip it, but I couldn't get that to work. So yeah, I did it legitimately. It took me half an hour to get this goddamn thing right. Fuck this ball. Fuck Silver. Fuck Sonic 06. And the worst part of all this is that they just head right back to Soliana, so this level was all just a giant waste of fucking time! Why is this game so obsessed with wasting time? Back in Soliana, they find Sonic almost immediately, so Silver goes to kill him. Oh my god, this is pathetic. Literally just grab the furniture and throw it at Sonic until he dies. That was so much easier than the other way around. Once again, Silver tries to finish the job, but Amy gets in the way. She asks why Silver wants to kill him, and when he says Sonic is responsible for destroying the world, she says that's bullshit, and she would rather choose Sonic over the world. Blaze then shows up, and Silver questions if killing someone to save the world is the right thing to do. She says it doesn't matter since they have no other choice, and they decide to sneak into Eggman's base. You need to buy the shock bracelet, which lets you stun enemies, and now we can get inside White Acropolis. You start out as Blaze in what was the snowboarding section, and then have Silver go through the rest. Thankfully, this level isn't as long as the other stages, but it's still pretty boring. Turns out they're too late since there's no one here, but that doesn't mean we can't have a random fight with the Egg Genesis. This time you need to grab the missiles or enemies it deploys to throw them back into it. A neat idea, but trying to aim these things can be really finicky. They find a Chaos Emerald, so I guess it serves some purpose, and then we cut to Amy, who comes across Elise. Wow, she actually got out of her cell. I'm impressed. Though Amy still has to escort her out, so she is still useless. They go back to Soliana because they couldn't be bothered to make an actual level for this, and Amy asks Elise why she didn't want someone to save her. She says someone once told her nothing starts until you take action, and Amy suspects that Elise has feelings for this person.
Okay, game. Seriously, stop trying to push a romance between a giant cartoon hedgehog and a realistic-looking young woman. It's weird and creepy, and I don't like it. And they don't even have good chemistry if you look past that.
Amy keeps pushing her into this and wishes her luck in pursuing him. Probably best not to tell her. We then have to run through town killing enemies for like the 3rd time at this point, and Elise returns to the castle, where she is once again captured by Eggman. Wow, there was a bonus kidnapping we didn't even know about in Sonic's campaign. I shouldn't even be surprised at this point. Silver and Blaze head back to town and they find Mephiles, so they ask for more information about the Iblis trigger, but he just brushes them off, and they go along with it. We can then buy the Heart of Wind, which lets you do a teleport dash that's so short range it's completely useless, and have to sneak 10 feet past these guards to get to Radical Train. Genuinely, what was the point of that? You gotta use these crates to tip the scales, smash through doors, which takes forever, and thankfully there's no chasing sequence at the end. We got this cutscene for the 3rd time and fight Shadow. Again, just grab stuff and throw it into him. The next few cutscenes are just repeats from Shadow's campaign, but hey, at least we get to see the kick again. They go back in time, see the Solaris Project, and go through Aquatic Base, only now you're Silver chasing down Iblis. Okay, you switch to Shadow almost immediately, but then you quickly go back. This level goes on for ages with how strong the enemies are, and god they brought back the floating ball, and you can't skip it this time. Silver finds Iblis and tries to contain it, but the Duke shows up and says that the flame was entrusted to the royal family, so he uses a Chaos Emerald to seal Iblis inside of Elise. Before he dies, he tells her unconscious body to always be brave and don't cry no matter what happens, because otherwise, Iblis will be released and the flames of disaster will destroy the world.
I'm sorry. What? You really expect me to believe that a girl with 2 dead parents and has been tasked with ruling an entire kingdom since she was a child has gone 10 full years without crying? What? Are you mad? Oh my god, this is ridiculous! Oh my god, oh, you can't be serious! You can't be serious! This has got to be the stupidest, most bullshit thing in the entire fucking game, and it only just gets worse and worse! Are you fucking... I can't believe they actually thought this was a good plot point!
There is no way Elise was able to go 10 years without crying just because her dad told her to be strong. And why does he even see Liblis inside her in the first place? To keep it under the royal family's watch? That doesn't make any fucking sense. And does it have to be tears of despair to make her cry, or is it just tears in general? Do tears of joy or reflex tears count? Imagine she hears a really funny joke or just chops up some onions and now the world is suddenly gonna end.
Oh, hello, princess. What are you up to? Oh, just making myself a salad.
And if this wasn't bad enough, Mephiles' plan is ridiculous! It turns out the reason he told Silver to kill Sonic was to make Elise cry and release Iblis so he could re-merge with him. Why didn't he just go back to when they were first separated and merge with Iblis there? Or why did he need Silver to kill Sonic? Just do it himself! Or why didn't he just kill Elise, since apparently that would release Iblis too? And again, if the heroes can time travel wherever and whenever they want, why didn't they just prevent the Solaris project from ever happening in the first place? You can't tell me it's to preserve the sanctity of the future because changing the flow of time was Silver and Blaze's entire goal in the first place!
Sweet mother of Christ, this story is fucking terrible!
The time travel bullshit leads to more holes in this plot than an archery target, and the characters are all completely worthless! Sonic spends the whole time playing Hot Potato Princess with Eggman and has no connection to the Solaris stuff. Shadow's attempted an arc goes nowhere. Silver is a complete idiot. Tails, Rouge, and AB contribute maybe once. Knuckles does fucking nothing. Omega just shows up randomly, and Blaze is completely forgotten about for 90% of the game. This has got to be the worst storyline in any video game I have ever played, and I don't know what was going on here. Okay, I'm really starting to lose my mind, so let's just wrap this up as soon as we can. Silver meets with Shadow outside, who again leaves the scepter behind, and they return to the present. But Silver gives Elise a Chaos Emerald as a lucky charm, which explains why she had it at the beginning of the game. Only he still brought the Emerald with him in Shadow's campaign because this didn't happen at that point. He returns to Soliana and finds Blaze, remember her, telling her Sonic that it isn't the Iblis trigger, and she says Elise turned herself in.
What if his ultimate objective was to release Iblis?
Wow, really? You think? We then have another Soliana enemy brawl where we have to protect this random girl, and this lets us take another set of trials by the castle. The test of friendship, where you kill enemies in time to save Blaze. The test of memory, where you enter portals based on questions they ask you about the game. And the test of heart, where you kill enemies without any objects around. We grant the Eagle, Silver saves Sonic, and it's time for Kingdom Valley. You gotta wander around, moving a shitload of objects and killing a fuck ton of enemies. You switch to Sonic for like 2 seconds, only to switch right back. I seriously spent 20 fucking minutes on this level, and not because I kept dying, it just refused to end. Eggman's ship crashes, they open the time portal, and Sonic goes in alone, but Silver and Blaze decide to return to the future and stop Iblis there instead. The last level is Flame Core, which again takes forever due to all the enemies and how slow the platforming is. I hate this, but I don't care anymore, I just want to be done. Silver and Blaze reach Iblis, leading to our last boss. Again, you gotta throw boulders he sends hurling at you, and now he shoots waves of fire and can destroy the ground by smashing it or launching these giant rocks. When he comes close, you can land on his head to move it, which somehow hurts him, but you only have a limited amount of time since the ground slams are unstoppable, and if you run out of ground, you die instantly, so you have to pick up these giant boulders or else you're fucked. This fight sucks. Can I go home now? Once he's knocked out, Silver tries to use himself as a vessel for Iblis, but he's rejected, so Blaze contributes to the story for the first time all game by offering herself instead, and tells Silver to send her to another dimension. He objects as he wouldn't know what to do without her, even though she's done basically nothing this whole time, so she just sends herself away instead. But with Iblis gone, the future looks bright, and Silver's story finally ends.
There, I beat all 3 of the main campaigns. Can you get me out of here already? Guys? Are you up there? This isn't funny! Where are you?
How is that supposed to work?
You said it was a pig that caused all this, right? And, you know, the wolf is the natural predator of pigs, so I'm thinking, we got this image of a wolf, maybe if we, you know, harass it a little bit, it'll weaken the barrier.
You know what? I'm out of ideas, and I'm gonna be honest, I kinda wanna see you try that, so go for it.
Oh, look at me, I'm such a big, hungry wolf. What's this? Is that the smell of bacon coming from this black thing that I don't know what it is because I am a wolf? Well, I tried. Great. Well, looks like we can't do it.
What? You can't just give up?
Well,
We tried everything we knew to try, so unless you have any brilliant ideas, you'd better get cozy in there and maybe invest in some real estate.
God, what the hell is with those explosions?
Guys, you might want to see this.
In other news, we received reports of powerful explosions all across the country, and each one appears to be growing in size. Several bystanders reported what appears to be a fuzzy red pig floating through the air around the time these explosions occurred. Fabio! These explosions occurred around the time that several people were reported missing, with the only connection being a discarded Sonic the Hedgehog game in their home.
Oh, crap.
We were unable to capture footage of these events, but we were able to secure an interview with someone who witnessed it.
Yeah, hey Marvin. So I was just standing in the kitchen of this house when I heard a big blast coming from outside. When I went to check it out, there was a big crater in the yard.
Oh, hey! That looks just like my door. Good taste.
Did you see what caused the blast?
Well, I didn't see it happen, but I did see a small pig flying around and it seemed to be glowing black.
You know, on any other day that would seem ridiculous, but you seem to not be alone in seeing such a thing.
Well, that's good, because I just spent 2 years in prison and I don't want to end up in a psych ward.
Well, thank you, good sir, and my condolences for the damage to your front yard.
Oh, I don't live here. I just came to pick up a few things.
Well, it appears that this so-called Phantom Pig will continue his reign of terror, and nobody knows what's causing it or when it will end.
We need to deal with this thing as soon as possible.
Don't you have access to an anti-demonic satellite?
I tried that, but it didn't work. This thing is much more powerful than the stuff we fought recently.
I think I know how to stop it. In my box, there's a multicolored jewel sitting on my desk. Grab it and bring it outside.
On it.
I really hope they know how to use that thing, but in the meantime, I gotta finish what I started.
Like the earlier 3D Sonic games, beating every campaign unlocks the last story, which brings everything together. Mephiles gets the last Chaos Emerald and uses it to distract Sonic and Elise, and then he shoots a blast that impales Sonic through the chest, killing him.
Sonic f***ing dies.
This, of course, causes Elise to cry, releasing Iblis from within her. Mephiles merges with Iblis to reform Solaris and drags everyone across time into this one big distortion, except for Blaze, because f*** her, I guess. Solaris is attempting to consume and destroy all existing timelines, and Eggman says it's impossible to stop. The others disagree, and Elise senses that Sonic might be alive, but they need to go grab the scattered Chaos Emeralds to revive him, so everyone splits up to go get them. The final level, End of the World, is the same idea as the last level of Sonic Adventure 2, where it's basically a relay race between all the playable characters, except for Sonic, because he's half dead, and Blaze, because f*** her, I guess. Though unlike Adventure 2, this level is just a mashup of a bunch of earlier levels, each one with a different character. Tails goes through Crisis City, Omega goes through Flame Core, Knuckles goes through Tropical Jungle, Silver goes through Dusty Desert, because of course he does, Rouge goes through Wave Ocean, Amy goes through White Acropolis, and Shadow goes through Ruined Kingdom, because of course he does. The only difference is that now these black holes pop up that suck you in and kill you instantly. The longer you're in here, the stronger they get, so you have to touch these statues to get rid of them for a bit. This level sucks, and it goes on for ages, but I did manage to beat it. Everyone brings the emeralds back, and Elise calls out to their power to revive Sonic. And then this happens.
It doesn't matter how much time has passed. That still feels wrong on every level.
The kiss brings Sonic back to life while also turning him into Super Sonic. He shares this energy with Shadow and Silver, turning them into Super Shadow and Super Silver, so they fly off to fight Solaris, and honestly, for a game with so many annoying and bullshit boss fights, the final boss is pretty easy. Solaris shoots a bunch of meteors and lasers at you, but since you can freely fly in any direction, it's not that hard to avoid. You cycle between all three Hedgehogs and hold down the shoulder button to charge up the meter. Once it's full, you can unleash an attack. Sonic charges forward, Shadow shoots a barrage of Chaos Spears, and Silver creates the shield that absorbs the meteors and then flings them back. While it doesn't look like you're hurting him at first, after enough hits, the armor on his arms and head will be destroyed. Your rings are continuously drained over the fight, but since you can switch Hedgehogs at any time and they restore every time you do, it's honestly not that hard as long as you keep an eye on them. There's 2 phases, and the second one shoots a lot more lasers, but it's still not that hard. I'm not joking when I said I beat this on my first try. It took 15 minutes though, so this fight still isn't good. Not because it's frustrating, but because it's just boring. But hey, after all the shit this game has thrown at me, I will gladly take boring. Solaris is finally destroyed, and the distortion begins to reset. We then see a flashback of the Duke showing Elise a small white flame, which is apparently Solaris in its original form. Present Elise takes the flame and tells Sonic that if she blows it out, Solaris will never exist, and none of this will ever happen. But this means she'll never meet Sonic, which causes her to start crying like a little bitch. Sonic tells her to just smile, which she does, and then she blows out the flame, erasing Solaris, meaning all of this never happened, and the game was entirely pointless. We then cut to Soliana hosting a festival of the sun, but wait, what are they celebrating if Solaris never existed? Sonic runs by because I guess he just wanted to join the party. Elise says the wind felt familiar, and Sonic looks up at the moon as this absolute show of a plot finally comes to an end.
Oh my god, that was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. What happened here? Genuinely. What happened here? I mean, yeah, I know this game had a rough development cycle, but still, this wasn't just some random one-off piece of crap. This was Sonic the freaking Hedgehog, and not just that, his big leap for a new generation of consoles. And they blew it. This game is an absolute disaster, and it wasn't just some one-off bump. It genuinely tainted Sonic's legacy forever. It sucks. I'm not even really mad at this point. Okay, yes I am. I am furious, but more than anything, I'm just sad that this steaming pile of garbage is now one of the first games that people think of when they hear Sonic's name. It sucks.
Got the jewel. What do we do with it?
I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. Nothing does.
It kinda does. Your pig friend is going on a rampage across the entire country.
Yeah, well, I beat the game and nothing happened. Looks like I'm not going anywhere, so I don't really see much of a point.
Come on, you can't just give up. I've invested way too much time trying to get you out, and time is money.
There must be a way to get him to snap out of it. Wait, I got an idea. I hope this works.
Huh? What's this? Sonic Project 06? Oh yeah, I heard about this. This was a fan project done by someone called Chaos X that's apparently trying to fix the game and make it actually playable. I mean, that's a nice sentiment and all, but you know what they say, you can't polish a turd.
Just watch it.
Okay, fine. Oh, wow, this is way faster than the actual game is, so that's kind of cool, I guess. It looks a lot smoother, so I'm assuming it controls way better. Sonic more closely resembles how he was in the adventure games. The spin dash is fixed, the meter actually works, so that's good. And you can maneuver in air during the Mach speed sections, that alone makes them actually playable. Tails has his tail swipe back, and the ring bongs have a target reticle, which looks helpful. Knuckles and Rouge are getting stuck on walls all the time, and oh, hey, Rouge has the radar now for the keys, and she can attack with hand-to-hand combat. That's kind of cool. Shadow has less of an emphasis on the vehicles, so that's great. His attacks are a lot faster, and oh wow, Chaos Blast got a massive upgrade. That's awesome. Wait, you can go into first-person view with Omega? That's sick. Silver is so much faster than before. He can actually dash on the ground, and he can shoot an energy blast to stun enemies as opposed to that tiny little burst. And holy shit, they fixed the ball puzzle by adding these walls instead of some boxes. Blaze can do her fire spin for so much longer, and Amy is so much faster than before. Wow, they really fixed everyone. That's nuts. I mean, there's still some issues with the levels and stuff, but overall, this is really cool. The fact that someone was able to take Sonic 06, one of the most infamous video games ever made, and make something that's actually good out of it is really admirable. I mean, it doesn't erase the original, which is still one of the worst video games I've ever played in my life, but it is nice to see that someone was able to see the possible good it could have in it and bring that good to light.
Sweet, he's back.
Wait a minute. I think it just slid a little. The barrier is weakening.
Wait, what'd you just say?
The barrier around your PS3 is weakening.
Wait a minute. Fabio is a demon of despair. He feeds off of negative energy because it makes his power stronger. And what generates more negative energy than playing a bad video game? Playing a bad video game in a series you love! That's why he made me play the bad Sonic games. Guys, I have an idea. Go into the box and grab as many good games as you can. If we can generate enough positive energy, it might be able to break the seal. Oh, that's not good. That's really not good. And I don't have the Mega Jewel. Guys, hurry!
All right, I hope this works. It's weakening. Open it up.
Now what?
The jewel! Throw it in!
Guys, any minute now would be helpful. Whew, thank God. Let's do this. Sweet freedom. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
You still owe me $50 for that pizza, and now another $6 for those tomatoes.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a sec. Right now I have some, business to take care of. Game conquered. Sonic 06 is a terrible, broken mess. It controls horribly, the hub world sucks, the level design ranges from passable enough to aggravating. It is filled with bugs and technical issues, and dear God, it has one of the worst stories in video game history. So yeah, don't play this game even if you're a diehard Sonic fan. Some people would argue it's a so bad it's good game, but for me, the anger more than outweighs that. I really did not enjoy this game, and I am never playing it again. But is it worse than Secret Rings? Honestly, I feel like that's kind of a pick your poison, since Secret Rings is a more inherently flawed design, whereas Sonic 06 has more flaws overall, and it's less functional. So I say 06 is worse, but it's very close, and it doesn't really matter. They both suck. And with that, I've now reviewed all of the early 3D Sonic games. I mean, yeah, there is Shadow the Hedgehog, but that's technically a spin-off, at least I think it is. Whatever. Either way, I'm gonna rank them all from worst to best like I did with the classic games. Sonic 06 is obviously the worst, and I don't need to explain why. Then Heroes, which has some good stuff, but also has some garbage, making it a one-and-done game for me. Then Adventure 1, where most of it is fun, but it has a few snags that bring it down a little bit. And then Adventure 2 is the best, since while it's not a perfect game, it's still the most enjoyable of these overall. And this also means I've officially conquered 100 games. Wow. Honestly, wasn't sure I'd be able to get this far, but I'm glad I got to be what might be one of the most fascinating video games ever made, because while Sonic 06 is an absolute slog that I did not enjoy at all and would not recommend to anyone, it didn't need to be. There was potential in here, and some people, despite it constantly being beaten down and laughed at and mocked, actually wanted it to be good, to the point where people like Chaos X ended up trying to make it good. And I think that's pretty cool. Honestly, playing this game made me realize something. While there are plenty of horrible games out there, and it should be criticized for that, it's also important to see the good things about those games, and not just why it didn't work, but also, more importantly, how it could have worked. How we could have had a good game out there, and it's important to see that kind of potential. Because sometimes even the worst pieces of media can still end up inspiring great ones, be it intentionally or unintentionally. So from now on, I'm gonna try my best to see the good in every game that I see, even the ones that I don't find as desirable or enjoyable to play.
Really? What about this one?
That gave us a great selection of memes.
And this one?
I mean, it didn't really have a good start, but it pulled its weight eventually.
And this one?
I mean, come on, that game's just hilarious.
And this one?
Okay, maybe not all of them.
The pig!
It's a lot smaller than I expected.
I don't know how you managed to escape, but it doesn't matter. All that negative energy awakened my full power. Soon, all of you will face my unbridled wrath, and the age of humanity will finally come to an end.
I'm gonna destroy you, you bastardized ham!
I don't think the one with a hole through your chest should be talking smack.
Oh god! What do we do? A jewel.
What?
A jewel. Give me the jewel!
You could do that this whole time?
Can you feel life moving through your mind?
looks like it came back for more. Yeah, can you feel time slipping down your spine? Ooh, you're trying to ignore. Yeah, but you can hardly swallow your fears and pain when you can't help but follow. It puts you right back where you came. Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Oh, yeah. Can you feel your life tangle you up inside? Yeah, now you're face down on the floor. Oh, but you can't save your sorrow. You've paid in trade. When you can't help but follow, it puts you right back where you came. Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Oh yeah! Yeah, 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 yeah. There's a face searching far, so far and wide. There's a place where you dreamed you'd never find. Hold on to what if. Hold on to what if. Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn, if you beg or if you borrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way.